There we go. Let's kill that. Hello everybody, it's FNGR and we're flying solo today. Yep, the audio quality is going good, from what I understand. Let me refresh the main page so I could tweet this bitch out. But I really should change the description on my Twitter about something I hardly ever use, because at this point that's rather bullshit. So we're doing a dive. If there is any significant comparison between BoJack and Family Guy. Let me take a look here. Go to copy this link. Okay. I'm going to pause this and back this up, and this is what inspired this. On today's episode of Family Guy, saltier than another adult comedy that's better than. Now, I don't know if they're being serious. It seems like it's just a goofy one-shot, but I felt like there'd be a good cross comparison to do here, so here we go. Here's the clip. Oh, yeah, derp. Would help if I had my control panel to be set up into my headset. I was mostly ready for today's stream. Mostly. Almost, but not quite. And almost only counts in hand grenades and horseshoes. One more time. That's only 2 seconds.
Normal words, but a horse guy.
So, let's see. First, let's look at the chat. What do you guys think, for anyone who's... I'm assuming everyone here has seen Family Guy. Yes? Feel free to type 1. For those of you who haven't seen BoJack, especially for all you fans of MLP that just can't get your pony fix, I've known this for some time now. BoJack is best horse. Hands down. Oh, okay. There's so little in common that it's just kind of stifling. Let's see if I could find the... This is the main cast of BoJack, and where's the Family Guy one? There we go. So, doing a cross comparison between Peter and BoJack's character. The only one I could find off the top of my head was they are both alcoholics, but the funny thing is about that, there's actually seems to be a disturbing amount of main characters in adult animation that seem to be alcoholics, from Homer Simpson to, Peter Griffin to BoJack to Rick Sanchez. I guess you could go to Moral Oral's dad from Moral Oral. Was it Clay Puffington? Yeah, I'm sure I'm probably forgetting more. Let's see. Just reading off from their Wikipedia. Yes, I've absolutely seen the episodes. He's begun as a young, bright-eyed actor, has grown bitter and deeply depressed and jarred due to Hollywood. The D gets blown off. It's a bad joke, but we'll get to continuity in a minute, which is the big, major, massive difference between BoJack, which I enjoy more as a better product in my opinion than Family Guy, which also is wrapping up in one whole season. And by the way, if you're not completely caught up in BoJack, we will be going into spoilers likely, or I will be, since no one has joined the call, which is fine. BoJack is shown to be a caring, insightful, but has insecurities and loneliness. That varies from episode to episode, and desperate need for approval, and results in a self-destructive actions that devastate those around him. Now, the self-destructive actions that devastate those around him seems to be a reoccurring character in these kind of adult animations. But as for insecurities, it occasionally happens with Peter, but he's more of a I'm having fun, do actions now, think later. BoJack is a has-been. I don't believe Peter's, unless you count all the goofy one-off, clip-aways, is kind of a never was. Any time where he's ever gotten any kind of success, it's quickly yanked by the end of the episode to maintain the status quo. Peter Griffin has a family. Whether you could say that he runs that well or not, I think you could certainly make a really easy argument to defeat that. BoJack, I believe he doesn't have a daughter. He has a sister, Yes, he absolutely has a sister. Um, I think she was around for like an episode. No, she was around for at least a season or two. Peter has a sister that's like dead by the end of the episode. That's kind of like a one-off. So no, I don't see any comparison in that way. Both of BoJack's parents are dead. Both of Peter's parents are dead. I'm surprised I'm doing that off the top of my head. Maybe I've just seen too much of them. Um, BoJack's mom was kind of an abusive dick. I didn't get that vibe off of Phyllis Diller's character, which I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm sure I could look down here right now. Um, Anybody feel like chiming in or what have you? Yeah, morning, guys. Am I coming through? Audio good? Okay, good. Um, let's continue on here. Let's see. I shouldn't have stopped myself when I was on a roll. Let me go back to the wiki just so I have something to kind of bounce or at least fucking reference. Um, where is the page? Or I was looking at BoJack's, I think. Um, yeah, I guess we'll go down the line here. For the next character, there's one called Princess Carolyn. That's the pink cat thing. Here, I'll, of course not, kill that. There we are. The pink cat thing over here. Um, Very self-reliant. I'd arguably, I'm not going to say perfect, obviously, because they do have some episodes where she eventually makes mistakes, but I feel that any level of success she's had, which I definitely you could argue in later seasons, seems to be being saddled with being friends with or the agent of BoJack, which she eventually kind of breaks ties with to some degree or other. I don't feel that there is an equivalent character, but yeah, I guess we'll go back to the wiki here. Ernest, unflagged, Princess Carolyn is a top agent of Vigor Agency throughout her tireless pursuit of new talent and a large network of odd personal connections. I don't even remember them having agents in Family Guy. I'm sure there may be a one-off episode since they're probably into hundreds of episodes by now. I'm assuming. What season? Probably we're probably well into 10. Maybe? Question mark. Though she struggles to find balance between work and her troubled personal life, take caring of BoJack and her friends. She enjoys her fast-paced, balanced, hectic lifestyle. Yeah, on top of that, there's a continual story arc, I think, across one or two seasons of Princess Carolyn's character, either trying to have a baby or adopt, and things keep getting in the way, and there's a continuity that continues throughout the show. I'm hard-pressed. Well, yeah, there was a Stewie Griffin's even eviler, I guess, half brother, which comes close to continuity. There's the, oddly enough, I guess you could say this. It's kind of clever that there's somewhat of a continuity between the time travel and Family Guy. You know what? Balancing all these things in my head without having notes in front of me, which was just a fool's errand. Holy crap! What was I thinking? Yeah, let's try and keep it simple here. After recognizing her lack of trustworthy and confronting her fear of being alone, she ultimately decides to leave him. She has a boyfriend character that she's with. They do have characters, for example, who was it? Brian Griffin had Jillian for like a reoccurring character that was kind of a ditz character. Was there an airhead that would have been equivalent to Jillian in BoJack? Yeah, there was an airhead character that wound up being from the BoJack show. I'm trying to remember what her damn name was. I meant to look it up before this. Let's see. Todd Sanchez, Peter. No. By the way, here comes the spoiler. The character's name is I'm drawing a blank. It's the same one who plays Mabel from freaking Gravity Falls. Does anybody know who the hell I'm talking about? Crap. I'll go back to the character here, or the that would be the one over here. She winds up passing away, I believe, at the end of, I think it's season 3. Crap. Now it seems horribly unprofessional. I can't remember the fucking character's name, but that's as close to Jillian as I could get. But she's more successful, I suppose. She winds up basically drinking and taking enough drugs where, eventually she passes off and dies, where by the time it happens, you're more of a thought is, yeah, that probably should have happened sooner, I suppose. Yeah, sorry for being morbid about that, I guess. But no, I don't think there's an equivalent character. And no, as far as I know, Family Guy typically doesn't kill off reoccurring characters. They kind of did, and when there were fewer, they wound up killing off Todd Tucker's co-star. Sad that I remember all this shit. Yeah, no life. Diane Wing, that's the Asian chick. We'll go back over here. That's this one. The closest, I'd say she'd have more in common with, I guess, Lisa Simpson as being the nagging voice of Insight. I guess maybe Peter Griffin. Well-reasoned, misunderstood, intellectual Vietnamese American third-wave feminist. Yeah, if she sounds like a tiresome character, she doesn't start out that way. There's times, but I feel like that, I think it's the only show that I've ever seen that they made that character, made a third wave feminist interesting. Um, maybe I don't watch as much TV here, so maybe yeah, check around here. She's an idealist who wants to make the world a better place. Yeah, Lisa Simpson expects other people to behave to a higher standard. Lisa Simpson, even though she often falls short of her own ideals. There you go. While writing BoJack's memoirs, Diane and BoJack develop a strong friendship intellectually and become awkwardly strained as BoJack develops romantic feelings for her, especially as she was dating Mr. Peanut Butter. We'll get to I could jump to Peanut Butter right now. That's the dog character. He's this happy-go-lucky, always land on his feet kind of character that even if he runs himself into the ground, that because he's always trying, he always seems to kind of come out ahead. There doesn't seem to be anybody remotely like that in Family Guy. I could come up with almost an equivalency. If Ned Flanders didn't have a family, perhaps he'd be and was even more perky and bubbly. You could kind of go, yeah. Her name is Sarah Lynn. Bingo, mwah, you people, beautiful, love it. Yeah, Sarah Lynn is the one character who winds up, doing enough coke and various other drugs to wind up ODing at the end of season 3, and God. I don't know how I felt about Sarah Lynn's character. the show seems to bombard you with so many things. I guess that season 1 and 2 had such a gut punch. I actually winded up watching the first 2 seasons, I think, with Vita. I was a little disappointed when I didn't find season 3 as soul-crushingly brutal as the first 2. I think they're up to 4 and 5. Let me double check. I'm doing this. Yeah, I've watched seasons 4 and 5. I felt that they were a bit more return to form. 5 actually ends on a fairly positive note. 4 was kind of weird. Yeah, just juggling things. Let's continue on here. Peanut Butter. Yeah, I think we just talked about him. I didn't find an equivalency in Family Guy. Now I understand that Seth MacFarlane was probably just making a one-off joke, but I wanted to do the cross comparison. That, and when I was starting to respond on Twitter about this, about Todd Chavez, thinking of Rick and Morty, is an unemployed, well-meaning, friendly 24-year-old human slacker. As I started reading it off, I was like, well, there's no Brian Griffin. BoJack doesn't have a pet, and that's not entirely true. Todd Chavez lives on BoJack's couch for the first couple of seasons. Well-meaning, friendly slacker. You could argue that's kind of Brian Griffin. I don't find Todd Chavez to just ooze, breathe, walk, talk, and walk pretentiousness. He doesn't feel that he's the master of a universe, mostly. He's more, I don't kind of give a fuck. Although BoJack constantly voices disdain for him, he secretly cares for Todd. There's a lot of development between both those characters. Todd winds up becoming, I think, ultimately the far more responsible well, arguably. That's where if I would have sat down and really done a cross comparison, God, now I'm getting ideas for more the more I look into this. Continually to financially supporting him and sabotaging his attempts to gain independence. Christ. I'd like to think, and anyone call me out on this, that I have not been... If anyone's been my Todd Chavez, I'd like to think that I haven't been their BoJack sabotaging them. For the people who've ultimately drifted the fuck away from me, I'd like to think that I haven't specifically tried to hold people back. Todd has been shown to possess a plethora of skills, including understanding Japanese, entrepreneurial know-how, and allying with peanut butter for various business ideas. Composing his own rock opera. Yeah, oddly enough, you wouldn't think an episode about rock opera would be even remotely entertaining. I've been able to sit through and watch that one 3 times, but I've re-sat through like whole seasons of BoJack with friends. The art style is ugly as shit. It takes some getting used to. I'm sure that either live or later on, some of you guys will probably be like, bring up Toucan and Birdie. I've only seen like an episode or two of that one, so I'm not really versed on it. This, along with other examples of BoJack's poor behavior, leads him and Todd to break ties with him. Todd has an uncanny knack for getting himself in absurd and extremely dangerous situations. Yes, typical sitcom character. Maybe that's the pull, or maybe BoJack makes fucking when he's around Todd. Perhaps you could make the thought that he's like, oh, it makes it feel like I'm back on my show, back when I mattered. His friends aren't around, such as getting into gunfights on several occasions, ending up in prison, and in one case, switching places with the prince and pauper style with a Cordovian dictator. He's almost never seen without wearing his signature yellow beanie in his teenage years, and he is an aimless skateboarder, an object of affection of his schoolmates. Emily is revealed to be in season 3's What Went Well. He is asexual, that is. Old boy here. He's also voiced by Jesse Pinkman from Breaking Bad. And I don't think I ever stopped seeing Jesse the whole time. I don't think that's necessarily the fault of the actor. But Jesse's character kind of sort of fits for that role. And if that sounds kind of weird and jarring, or at least interesting, it certainly is. What do you guys think, if you have any thoughts here? Or I guess I could keep going. Hi guys. I guess I'll go back to the Family Guy wiki and see if we could do if I left anyone out here. Cleveland Brown. Various other characters. No. Reoccurring cast. Oh, it's not nearly as neat. Jesus. It couldn't have been straightforward. You couldn't have had just like main cast. Um, Here we go. Seth MacFarlane plays Peter Griffin, Brian Griffin, and Stewie Griffin. Yeah, there's no evil baby character, to the best of my knowledge, in BoJack. I don't think there's any like even shoehorning in there. There is another cartoon that's basically I'd argue is a lot closer, and I'm sure a lot of you have probably heard of it. It's called Forget About It. It's a Canadian cartoon. It's basically, it's Canadian Family Guy. It's a bunch of mobsters who get in witness relocation. There's a younger like girl character who's like an evil genius murderer type that really fits Stewie Griffin. They're For Seth MacFarlane, I don't think that there is a Brian Griffin. That's the well, not Brian. What's the name of the damn Chris Griffin? There isn't a Chris Griffin character. Dumb, kind of slow. What is Chris's character? I've never really focused on. What do you guys think? BoJack is an Equestria Girls ripoff. Gets caught in an anthropomorphic horse. He's an anthropomorphic horse. Oh. See, I'm trying to picture that could be a Robot Chicken skit. BoJack and Equestria Girls. That's at the end of like the last 3 episodes of season 2, he kind of has like this kind of high school adventure that he goes to go check out his former squeeze in BoJack, and he basically gets shot down by his old love. Kind of hits on her daughter, and that winds up being all kinds of uncomfortable. That's a nasty situation, and how forgiving you are of BoJack's character is something that you'll do in retrospect, since obviously you'll be marathoning BoJack and you'll be like, oof, should BoJack be in jail after season 2? That's one of those ones where like, well, he's certainly not a role model. He's absolutely positively not a role model. Wow. They do kind of come back to him getting caught. I think they brought it up as late as like the most recent season, where he's like having panic attacks because he later on goes to stalk the girl that he got interrupted from having sex with, the 17-year-old. uh, that's a lot to unpack. But if no one else is going to chime in on that, I guess I'll briefly talk. Since you guys are here right now, who wants to hear about the webcake maid thing? I obviously I've had both Maid and Wub who didn't seem like they were particularly interested in me sharing the call. Good news for you Webcake fans. Good news. Um, she handled and addressed everything like a boss. Um, I have some issues with, so there's three people I can remember off the top of my head as far as the Webcake drama goes. There's Demon Fox, who's a creepy stalker. Um, that I've heard from Maid and Webcake before all this started, and at the end of that discussion, I might play a clip of that sometime later. That person is not to be trusted. There's Moliminous, aka Faith, who seemed to jump on this without any evidence whatsoever and call Webcake a pedophile, and accused Webcake of fingering a 13-year-old without any evidence whatsoever. Um, I just finished a 12-hour workday. I finally Maid had gotten back to me, I think sometime around like 3 or 4. So we all hopped in a call. No, good news. Like I said, no, there's nothing to go after Webcake. Nothing. Um, Hardy is also a stalker. MLP Tim Hardy. Oh, Cup Stacker. Yeah, I've been told that by a fair amount of people. He bothered me a couple times, but not enough where I would have called him a stalker. I would have called him fucking annoying. But perhaps I didn't have enough horse fame to be properly stalked. I don't know. Um, yeah, I could certainly see where Tim Hardy got on people's nerves. But getting back to the Webcake situation, um, he sat there and explained that there was how did he put it? That Webcake had had a breakdown and then like confessed, and I was like, oh shit. And before that call, I remember Leo Convoy's tapping me on the shoulder. So, what are you going to do if this turns out to be true? And I was like, well, and we did the math on the ages and how long ago that would have been 13 to 19. And I was like, I don't feel that there's a way to make that work. Would you not agree 13 to 19 would be a bridge too far, guys? Press 1. I feel that would not be appropriate. I know that there's a lot of states that have like a 4-year excusal rate for like Romeo and Juliet laws, but 13 to 19 felt all kinds of yuck. But I'm like, you know what? I'm sitting there thinking in my head, there's not going to be anything there, which thankfully there wasn't. Maid winded up stating, there was somebody else there, and I was like, oh, who? And the name came across was Kitty. If you guys know who High Kitty Purr is, and I was like, oh, the one that hangs out with mindless guns. I was like, yeah, that one. I was like, oh. And again, tired, kind of a ball of nerves now. When I was talking to him about it, so I ended up pulling Kitty into that call right then and there. Well, not right then and there. I did actually ask their permission because I don't just randomly call people out of the blue, even though I think that would have been semi-excusable. But I understand that Kitty's a very busy person. I'm sure she has a job, she has a boyfriend, she has all this other shit going on. She has her own channel, but she came forward. She explained that she remembered Webcake being very stressed, and I was a bit concerned because I was hoping to hear Kitty going, no, this is all bullshit. Wub came in. She explained that she had been distressed because the name of the girl who made the accusations, her name is Jenna Bun. I've taken to calling her Jenna Bum. Was making like she like one day she would call like Webcake creepy and this, and like then try and be like her friend like the next. Not that we've ever experienced anyone like this on this channel, have we, class? Not that we're going to mention them by name, but yeah, such people do exist. As Wub showed up and explained things, Maid did start to say, oh yeah, that makes sense, oh yeah, I guess I sort of did. And my trying to be as fair with Maid as possible, and I'm going to state this for the record, if you guys do not absolutely know, maybe not going completely public and accusing someone, or maybe you have to be careful who you vent to. because that's how this story started. Demon Fox was somebody that Made was kind of venting to Wub about, and they went completely public and started saying, "Oh yeah, no." And then fucking that story got from there to Maleminous. There's no proof. There's no accusations. Um, I mean, there were obviously accusations, but there's no proof. Um, as for regards to the accusations of Lolly, there's a fashion style called Lolita Goth or whatever the hell it is, and from what I heard is that freaking Maid mistook and remembered it that way, and that seems like a gigantic, titanic, colossal, holy fuck man. Um, who would win in a fight if you were wrestling in a ring with Webcake or KP? Oh, they were wrestling. I would beat the living shit out of KP. I have a question. Once you're done with the subject, is there any rant that you regret making? No doubt. I I still resent pint-sized atom bomb for getting me involved in the Spectre theory thing, but um, once I was involved, once you hear somebody confess, it's really hard to. It's it's a hell of a thing to But I feel like, yeah, Spectre's innocent. I don't want to add to any of Empty Brook's headaches on that topic. They're very stressed right now. That being Empty Brook, aka Ponder Sprocket. We're now recently talking again, and they even said that I could buy art when they eventually open that up. And it's not even that I can buy art. It's just it's knowing. Well, yeah, it is just knowing it. I don't specifically need anything, but it's nice knowing that the door isn't closed now, and that means a lot to me. Because Brooke's been there. A lot of times it was quick, it was efficient, it it was affordable, it was beautiful, and yeah, I felt that a lot of those art pieces were iconic and associated well with this channel. By the by, special thanks goes out to Countess Rose and our lovely new banner. If anyone would like to hear the story about that, or I'm just going to tell you. So I was at BabsCon, and we're I don't know. He's setting up for the party that night. I don't know if it's day 1 or 2. I'm gonna say day 2, and he had a giant, like, party sized or super sized thing of tortilla chips, and we're sitting there talking. It's me, I think Big Willie, who I may or may not be able to go to BabsCon. He's had a couple of cancellations because prices have come up. He's deeply associated with Babs. And we're talking, and I would ever so delicately, perhaps even daintily, reach over and steal one chip and eat it, one at a time. I wasn't taking handfuls, I wasn't stuffing my face, but all nonetheless, slowly but surely, like the tortoise, I was getting towards the finish line. And he's like, "Hey, Anthony, I see you're trying to eat all those chips. I'm not shuffling them down. No, motherfucker. You're eating all my chips. I don't care if it's one at a time." And he started busting. He didn't really care. He was just giving me a hard time. So then I was like, you know what? I want to get a picture kind of drawn up where you kind of look like L from Death Note and I look like Light. I'm not looking at the picture. I'm completely happy with the quality. Love it. It's so good as far as I'm concerned. Not that I don't feel I have any heat between any of the people that used to be in the thumbnail, those being Cray, Silvermane, Crown Prince, or Cloud Cuckoo Country. All very talented people. I still love Gray up and down. I just talked to Crown Prince recently because as I've turned into a bit of a technophile recently, I started asking animators what kind of graphics cards and what kind of processors do they have. Because I'm curious. I'm not going to get into animation. I can't draw for shit, and I doubt I'd be any good at animation on top of all that. Seems to take a lot of patience, a lot of skill, a lot of passion, and a lot of love. And my focuses and interests are on other things. That said, for anybody who wants to know, Crown Prince said that they have a 1060 GTX graphics card. They said that they 4 processors was what they're currently clocking. Minty Root said that you'd want up to 4, which I was a bit skeptical about. But I'd heard originally because I saw Minty Root being retweeted by Therapy Rarity, and for whatever reason, I saved the picture because he mentioned, "Oh, I have a 1080 graphics card," and it wasn't that I wanted to ask Minty Root about anything about Therapy Rarity. It's just I'm a busybody about tech. And he's like, "Oh no, I remember for some of these I was using a 1050, which is significantly less cheaper. I think you could get a GTX 1080." But yeah, I was actually kind of surprised. He's like, "Oh no, it's more about CPU, which is processor than GPU." So we had a fairly long discussion about that. Um, yeah, Crown Prince is amazing. If I wind up finally having a pod and or a stream, which is pretty much, I guess, the same thing as just they'll be live, we'll be talking with Toucan LDM. Further updates. Unfortunately, I had a couple of cancellations. Um, week before last, phone's ringing. I'm just gonna ignore it. The cancellation that happened on Sunday was at the anti-zoophile police. The gentleman I saw when he started, he's up to like 20,000 followers on Twitter. Unfortunately, had to cancel. I don't even know why. I said to him when he's like, I might have to cancel. I was like, well, just tell me now, so when I get home, I can lay down in my bed and pass the hell out because I had like 2 hours of work to go at the time, and I didn't get to pass out as the maid wub thing sort of happened. Um, for the record, nobody, I, I think they've both moved on, or I would encourage you guys not, don't bring up any, let their personal business be their personal business. But I felt like you're like, oh, what about you right now, Anthony? Well, there was certainly some serious accusations that assholes like Malimin, oh, this is a pedophile, guys. What proof? um, yeah, maybe talk to people, which is something Moliminous is not really keen about because nobody can stand the motherfucker. Yeah, I'd be glad to sit down and talk to Faith if he has anything relevant to say on the topic other than getting butthurt for fucking Webkick treating him like a filthy pleb, which he is. Mwah. Am I forgetting anything, guys? Anything that you're looking forward to? I know there's a bunch of shit that's either come out this month or is coming out. I know that Rick and Morty is coming out. What is it? November, right? I think there's a new season of She-Ra coming up in fucking November too. Oh, I love that to death. That's fucking choice. You're like, oh, why would you watch She-Ra? Continuity, action, lots of shipping. Oh, the shipping is magnificent. Mwah, 10 out of 10. Shipping that doesn't even belong there. Oh, it's so good. Um, there's a character in there whose voice is just new Food Wars. Yeah, I haven't gotten into Food Wars, and sadly, the only experience I had with Food Wars was when I was looking into Headlong of Equestria, and he's like, "Oh yeah, the girl he was with, he's like, I've sat down and watched Food Wars with this 15-year-old girl." So basically, it was me, someone I can't talk about anymore. If you look on Fan and Frenzy, you'll find the recording of that. Um, Not that I can't, or I just choose not to. There's no legal thing against. Yeah, I'll just that right now. I have no restraining orders on me right now, and I'd like to keep it that way. Specifically, um, yeah. There's a lot of inappropriate things that look. If you were sitting around watching with friends, and one of them happened to be 15 or 16, probably don't. But I'm not going to really scream at you about that. But I don't know if someone's trying to like watch Food Wars with them, and there seems to be a lot of flirting going on, and one of them's underage. No, no. There is drama between Madame and Slimmers. What? Slimers? What are you talking about there? Cartoons. Mr. Cartoon Movie Makers. What's if you're using abbreviations, whomst are you referring to? Oh, Madame, she steals artwork from Slimers and doesn't credit them in artwork. Some of my people may have brought that up. I'm actually surprised nobody's popped in the call. Let me check Discord. Boop. No. I haven't really talked to that individual in call yet, so I don't know how good their mic is. So I'm gonna hold off on that one. Let's see, did I forget anything? Um, Basically, in the most illegal of ways, just uses alt accounts and stalks OC Tent and harasses her because he wanted to talk to her. Um, I'm not really versed on stalking laws, and What fandom is that part of? Is someone asking for assistance? I'd hate to butt in and then have both people tell me to get the fuck out. The series final. Are we talking which one? MLP, She-Ra, what? Which TO? I'll assume MLP. Um, I watched season 5, or not season 5. I'm sorry, season 9. I didn't watch the final. I watched the two-parter, and I felt satisfied. Where I was like, okay, it's not perfect. the The part that pissed me off the most was finding out that Grogar was Discord. I was like looking at that going, fuck off. I was looking to see where that was gonna go, and they just said nope, it's Discord. It's not that he wouldn't do all that shit. It's just I don't know. I was waiting to hear more. I was like, so whatever happened to Grogar? Did he just die off? That's just we're gonna leave it. Okay. Um, Sucks. Leo at the airport can't jump into the call. Yeah, no, that's fine. Oh, I didn't know fucking Leo convoys at the airport. But cool. Ponder Sprocket, now a universe. Hopefully Peaches being three of said people in the most illegal ways. Well, if Ponder already has it tackled, it's probably already done. Um, I'm assuming that Ponder's full length movies that she puts out, the full 2 hour pieces, are very strenuous, very difficult, and I've made some long videos myself, but I know that there's a bit more love and care that go into Ponders, so they are what they are. Obviously, now if you think about it, the gray hair and the yellow eyes and the yellow magic, um, I guess. I don't know. I guess I would like more hints that if Grogar like spontaneously would cast spells that would give him away as being chaotic a bit more, or almost like Discord's. How do I put this? Like maybe his magic is compulsionary. Maybe that would have been a neat little tip, I suppose. But yeah, as for the rest of it, Starlight was boss as shit. There were like little things when I was watching the two-parter where I remember seeing like Trixie going into like the escape hatch with like the kids, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, "This is gonna be the last Trixie scene, or this part here is gonna be the last time we hear from Starlight." Oh, um, oh yeah, Retro Gamer, you definitely need to check out She-Ra. Um, it's this is gonna piss off a lot of people. It's Steven Universe, but good. it's 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 progressive without being God, what the fuck am I looking at? it's, yeah, I remember, and I thought this way before I heard like Pete's thing. Like, well, that's not gay enough. Yeah, that's why I like it. It's just the magical amount. it's it's just fine. There is an episode where you get to freaking meet Bo's parents, and they're both highly effeminate gay males, and that I won't even say that's the part that's really obnoxious. It's just kids meet the parents episodes where the parents are over fucking bearing are not my favorite thing in the world, and I don't think that there's any kind of parents that would make that episode fun. That's probably not the way if you were trying to, for representation. I'm not endeared to those characters after that. Yeah, they learned a lesson. Oh yeah, blah blah blah. Our kids are kid, and we gotta live their spread their wings and fly. Blah 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 blah. I saw a Photoshop of Starlight walking away where Chrysilius was covered in snow, bit in the background, replaced by an anime explosion. Ah, sounds funny. Now, I want to comment, and I've made this joke on Twitter a couple of times for what is it? Someone shows like Chrysilius turned to stone, and it shows Flufflepuff crying. I'm like, but guys, Flufflepuff is really good at orbiting things for extended periods of time. You know, I think that they really don't mind. Some should say as far as 3 years. I don't know what I could be talking about right now.
No, not in the slightest, my man. Not in the slightest.
Bubba's just joined us finally. Goody.
I just snuck in on you there. Didn't want to interrupt.
I faintly heard somebody in the background. I'm like, I'm not going to look. I'm just going to find out together who the hell that is. Yeah, I think I did 39 minutes strong solo. I feel pretty good about that. Flufflepuff is cute. Yeah, It's a shame that basically the person behind it is has a nasty habit of going after younger people.
Well, like you said, I mean, that dude's gonna know how to wait a long ass time, wait for Christmas.
Yeah.
Normal.
Discord,
You
Alex.
see his ass now sitting there looking at his watch, looking at a calendar, like, come on.
How do you find all the fantastical delicious people, whether they are harassing stalkers and such? People usually tap me on the shoulder. How did I find therapy rarity? God, that's a good question. I wish I could tell you exactly where it was. Um, I know at one point in time I did make an extra Twitter account to follow it. I know I wasn't the first person to find therapy rarity. Maybe I was just someone maybe did. Yeah, I think someone probably posted the where they announced that they're proudly an MAP, not misanthropony. I felt really bad when he found that out. He's like, that's what they did with that name. I'm like, I'm sorry, dude. I knew you were gonna find out sooner than later. On a very special version of My Little Pony. Imagine if Map were on the show. When do you think Map's gonna find out what MAP really stands for? I don't know, Pinky, if we should tell him or not. He'll
Well, we
know.
can unfurl it in a party. That way it doesn't feel so bad.
He'll find out, Pinky. He'll find out. Yeah, Leo, I was just joking about freaking Map finding out what the hell that stands for on Twitter. I talked about the wub and maid thing. I basically broke down the cross comparisons because there was a joke on Family Guy where they were sitting there saying, "Oh, it's us but horses," and I was like, "There's not terribly a lot in common. Um, it's a far more different animal." Oh yeah, no, he wouldn't be. He shouldn't be. I'd almost rebrand after that. Fuck. Yeah, I probably would rebrand. I'm sorry for his case.
Yeah, I'm surprised Family Guy's even still on the air. Shit.
Well, is there a lot of great wins on freaking Fox? I think even if it got canceled, they'd be able to find a new channel. Did you guys like the
Oh,
Family?
yeah.
Someplace magical, I said. I will. I've seen like the part that caught me in the gut, even though I haven't seen the final. I've seen the book closing, like that hurt like hell. But the thing that always makes me feel better, there's this shoop of like the book closing, and the next image is like Twilight going, "What the hell did I just read?" Oh, I, I hate giraffe Twilight. Um, Buff Spike, whatever. Buff Spike, whatever. You know. Uh, Pinky shipped.
Oh,
All right, that's cool. I'm an obnoxious shipper. Go ahead. Just landed in Baltimore. Gonna head to DC from here. Go to TFC Con this coming weekend. That's good. Have fun, Leo. Yep.
Yeah, with Spike there, he had, like I said, he's got a serious case of Bruce Campbell chin with that big damn chin. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I'm mostly I'm probably again going to get a lot of hate for this. I was at the point where I was like, okay, I want MLP to wrap up. I'm done with season or Gen 4. I'm definitely cool to come along for Gen 2. The only thing I'm going to say that I'm going to consistently truly miss is something that is a long ways off from wrapping up. And I'm going to miss DWK making totally legit recaps. And
yes.
Oh, I've gone back and started watching like a couple that I've missed, and they're even when he was like like just beginning and they weren't quite as refined. I don't even want to call them lazy because they were still good. He can absolutely do earlier seasons, and I would absolutely adore loving them. He could probably play with the editing a bit, kind of almost create like new episodes because there's so many to work with. He could fuck around with fan animations. He could work with what's it called, Equestria Girls, like the ones online. Is that wrapped up, guys? Is Equestria Girls Online wrapped up? No, I got the Pinky in the Brain reference. I heard it at first and I wasn't sure if they were being cheeky, but I'm like, no, that was intentional. I enjoyed your video on reboots, Leo. Yep. Anyone who wants to check out Leo Convoy, he's one of the 4 suggested tags on the side of the channel. Here, I'll even pull it up here. Coyote, Bernie Inspector, Fan and Frenzy, and Leo Convoy. And for anybody who wants to know, I don't, that I know of, have any heat with Midnight Chimes. It's just I like to keep it low. And I haven't seen anything from Midnight Chimes that specifically, caught my eye. He doesn't have to just make his content for me. He could do his own damn thing. So he's free to stop by anytime he wants, subject to change. I do have a habit of pissing off people in the future, but as of this moment, I think everything's cool. I just assume he's busy. DWK is the best thing in the fandom in my mind. And here's the other thing too. If you guys are worried about DWK running out of content, he could easily switch. Like, could you imagine his format with Family Guy? And Family Guy is very generous with their clips. Ridiculous. It took me a minute because I noticed a lot of people would use their clips, and I noticed Lily Pete would use like big fat chunks of it. Not only are they cool with using their clips, they let you monetize them a lot of times, like to an obscene extent, at least when you compare it to MLP. Question anyone in the audience, or you, Anthony, interested in Gen 5. Are you ready? Yeah. If it were coming on, I'd say by Wednesday. Because, I don't know if I want to pop in something right now. Like, if it came out, like, Wednesday, Netflix, here's the whole season. It would depend how it is. It would depend how many episodes. I think we're also assuming, when they go to the next gen, are we getting 26 whole goddamn episodes at a time? That might get chopped up. We don't know how that's going to go. Is it still a Hasbro thing? Yeah, it's going to still be a Hasbro thing, but is it, still going to... Do they even put it on the hub? Is the hub even still a thing? I watch the shit online. Legit. Totally legit. Ha ha ha. My thoughts about them, because I think Step brought up the fact they were going to turn Applejack's voice actor black or whatever, and I was like, who cares about Applejack? Applejack had one good episode, and it was in season 1. Fuck Applejack. I could care, and it has nothing to do with the voice actor. Like you could have. I was about to say you could have made it Ron White. No, I would have cared then. if Ron White came out with a big old stogie and a fucking highball of whiskey in their hand, call me tater salad. I'd eat that shit up. I'm sure everybody else would be annoyed, but I'd fucking something else.
Oh, I'd be dying, dude.
Oh, I want to bring this up too. There's also a call I got to get around to editing. Or at least put up like a background too. I'm probably going to put it up on Fan and Frenzy as my views are circling the drain. And I don't need to. It's a good call. It's just I know the last time I covered the Joker, the views were like, fuck, I lost my complete thought on that. Oh yeah, now I remember. If would anyone have watched the Joker if it wasn't called that? Like if it specifically was just some dipshit having a breakdown, and we had a good comeback line to that. What if we called it Anon the movie? I'm like, that would be way better actually. It's just some anonymous dipshit having a meltdown, and this is basically what Anon looks like. Yeah, I'd probably would have enjoyed the shit out of that movie more. I would have been like less hyped. But I still would have been like, oh, well, maybe. Yeah, it would have boiled down to marketing. Yeah, and Anon dancing around super cringily. Yeah. The hub closed in 2014. It was replaced by Discovery Kids. Okay, so Discovery Kids, I'm presuming, is getting Generation 5. Am I still going to things like, fuck was it called? BabsCon? I enjoyed it last year, even when I fucked up my foot, which took it down a point or two, but I still had a great time. I got to hang out and basically under Bernie Inspector's influence. I was surrounded by horse news guys. The worst that happened is they asked me, "Did you sleep with Wubkick?" And I said, "No." "You sure?" "Yeah, positive." Or not Wubkick, Mintheart. Did I say Wub? Christ, I've been talking for a while here, but yeah, no, no to both.
No, just no.
Well, I'm not picking on Wub. I think Wub's with somebody on top of that too. So, what if Anon had the face? I don't know what you're talking about. Do you mean The Mask?
Mm.
Anyone here in Australia coming to Alacon? Can't say. I know I don't know if I know any freaking Australian bronies left. The only Australian we have in our room is what's his name? Node?
Ball.
Noodle. Who? Oh,
I
Maul.
think
Yeah, Maul.
Ball.
Maul. Yeah. I thought he was a Kiwi. I thought he was a New Zealander.
Mm.
Or I keep making that mistake. We used to have a guy in the Cool Kids Club, that's Limbo's side room, called Fiber, but he was so fucking obnoxious. Paws used to fuck with him constantly. DCP sort of floats around in the comments every now and then. He's from Australia. Wait, is a mask? I don't know what you're talking about, Manuel. Like, I saw a post on Twitter that kind of caught my interest where someone like remastered or redid the Mucha Lucha intro. I know I'm just moving on from conversation to conversation now. And I was like, I never thought I'd look at this and feel nostalgia. We need better shit on TV. What are you guys looking forward to in the chat? Any movies? Didn't seem like a lot came out last week. The question mark symbol, the green anon dude. Yeah, he's a representation of someone being anonymous online, is how I understand it. I've never really liked the whole anonymous thing. I understand that it has its place. What are your thoughts on Star Wars Episode 9? I hated Episode 8. And I promised myself that I wasn't going to spend more money in the theaters to watch Star Wars after that. And I in response to Movie Bob's like, you guys know you all watched Han Solo the movie at least on TV. No, I didn't. I watched it over someone's shoulder while I was in a flight without sound. And usually that would encourage you to go back and watch it just to find out what was going on. And it was either that or stare at, like, I guess the front seat in front of me. So, no, to say I'm all Star Wars'd out isn't exactly true. I've seen clips of The Mandalorian for the Disney thing. That looks interesting. Am I going to get Disney Plus just to watch The Mandalorian? Probably not. Is there going to be another way to watch The Mandalorian, which will be totally legit? Probably. Question mark legit, or quotation marks legit. Also likes to bang ponies. Is that what you're saying? They're cartoon movie makers? As long as they're not real. I know some people who'll look into you if they are. I saw a chart. I forgot where. It was somewhere on Twitter where someone showed, like, the declining things in the fandom. And the porn is still going strong, and I'll tell you why. There's new characters, meaning there's new things that artists will be asked to draw. As long as there's going to be, like, official things, even like little tiny things from, like, Equestria Girls, I'm sure that'll still get art. So.
Plus, it's porn. Porn will never go away, no matter how hard you try.
There have been, like, one or two good season shows where, like, the porn is, like, petered off and died. But there's such a mass of MLP, FIM. I'm sure that the numbers will finally drop off, but the fact that I'm seeing that it's still not only doing well, but growing is kind of funny. I heard Star Wars Episode 9 is doing multiple reshoots after reshoots. The critiques that I've seen about Star Wars Episode 9, if you look at the trailer, most of it is showing you old shit. Like, the vast majority of the trailer is, let's remind you and remind you. Because I'd say there was, and I feel a lot of people are getting away from this, an unwritten covenant as a Star Wars fan, and part of it comes from the fandom, and part of it came from George Lucas, that you're kind of obligated is a human being to go see Star Wars. Now you could be like, that's massive bullshit, but a lot of people probably left the prequels. I think I enjoyed them at the time, but would like later on in retrospect, I'd go back, think about them, and be like, this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this. But the more recent ones, I didn't mind Episode 7. I was hopeful. I agreed with Bob going, this is a good foundation for hope, and this is where they. And then I saw 8, and I the way I felt watching it was the way I felt watching Batman versus Superman. I kept wanting to walk out of the theater, but I felt like I had to stay because what if it gets better and I leave? I'm an idiot then. That's my fault. So I sat through the whole thing and went, welp. It's not like I can't say I wish I didn't see it because I knew I had to see it. So all I can do is not spend money on it in the future. I can not buy Star Wars. And I'm seeing more and more people. And yeah, I've seen the critique, and it isn't just like from far right nut jobs. There are passionate fans of the show who were like, I don't know how you managed to kill a show or kill something for people who are willing to sit through the prequels and go, whether I like them or not, there's enough things that were interesting in them to make me want to go back and rewatch them. There's like little things that people would expand on headcanons or break off from like the comic books. There are some really good Star Wars freaking channels. I think Star Wars Fan Theories or Star Wars Reads. One of them has trying to remember the name of the Blue Admiral that's only in the books. Thrawn. That there's lots of things that are still good about Star Wars. They're just not the movies. The cartoons are pretty good. That one with the rebels and shit was kind of interesting. Or the ones where Anakin hadn't turned into Darth Vader yet. Clone Wars or whatever the fuck it's called.
Yeah, Clone Wars. That's what it was.
I can almost go up and down, and I think I did. I gave my thoughts on 8, and I know Miss Anthropony, where he said I rewatched the movie 3 times. That's a trooper. Holy shit, you sat through fucking Star Wars 8 3 times? How? How did you do that? That's... I couldn't make myself do that. There's so many other things I would rather do with my life than sit through... Maybe I could do a half hour, I think, if I really had to. But sit through that whole goddamn nightmare of a movie again. Fuck no.
I can actually suggest something that is Star Wars related. It's pretty good. The audio book of the Death Troopers, where it's like zombified stormtroopers.
I've heard about that.
That was actually pretty good.
I've also remember movie Bob when he'd bring up, how'd you really like them follow the books? They'd have zombies in there. And I'm like, look, I understand. Zombies are played out. And turning Star Wars into another zombie franchise, maybe that's not the way to save things. Maybe not. Maybe that'd be more better off as like in a straight to DVD kind of affair. Or maybe a TV special. Maybe what was the one where they had the biomechanics that they were like, immune to the Force? I forgot the goddamn name. Have you followed any of the more recent books?
Not the man. I've heard something about that. There's a friend of mine. He's like a huge Star Wars fan, and he was telling me about that.
I have an interesting story. So I'm not a person who reads a lot. And when I was in high school, I was sitting in fucking homeroom. For anybody who remembers what the fuck that was. Under my desk, there was a book called Star Wars Bounty Hunter Tales. Do you like Bubba Fett? I didn't think I even knew his name at the time. And I was sitting there reading it. So I picked it up, took it home, read all of it, took it back, and I'd mentioned I'd read it, and someone's like, oh yeah, it's so-and-so's book, and I gave it back. And so... I thought that was kind of neat. And I didn't find another book that was that damn interesting. I think it's, what do you call it? My short attention span. But it was the fact that it had, like, it was chopped into 5 or 6 bits. There's that dude with the towel wrapped around his head, Dolgar or whatever. Dagon.
Mm-hmm.
It's that.
Something like that.
Broke him down, had a Boba Fett story. It had those robots, the kill ones that like have there's a brief cameo of them in Empire Strikes Back when they're like, we don't need those bounty hunter scums. I saw one of them in what's it called, the Mandalorian, which I was like, ooh, yeah, those things are cool, even though I don't think I've ever really seen them do anything other than stand in the background. So I was like, okay, I'm curious to see what the fuck. Star Wars hasn't endeared itself to make me want to spend money on them. Trying to think. I'm kind of curious about watching the new Maleficent. I suppose that might be fun. I did watch the first one, and I'm like, well, it's not the same old rehash shit. I'm not a fan of like going off to go see like the new live action versions of shit that we've already seen the better versions of. I'm sure you guys have all heard that from like 100 other channels by now. I did when I was coming back from Massachusetts. I did see the live action version of Aladdin on the flight back. That kid cannot sing. Aladdin's actor could not sing to save his ass. I think Step pointed out, didn't he do A Whole New World okay? He did that fine-ish. But his acting was crap, which I didn't notice as much until I had it pointed out to me. Because, I guess I'm not an aficionado. But even as somebody who doesn't give a fuck about music, I found his singing to be abhorrent. I haven't seen the new Godzilla movie. Fun fact. I have probably watched more Godzilla. I have probably re-rented Mechagodzilla, the original, when I was a kid, and I couldn't tell you anything other than I remember the aliens being roaches. Spoilers. 30-year-old spoilers. I was a little kid, and I would rent it, watch it, rewatch it. The weekend would roll again. I'll get it again. And then I remember my parents rolling their eyes, and I'd go to All Star Video or Pick a Flick, the two rental stores in town. The fact that I could remember that shit is fucking amazing. Well, of course I did.
Oh shit.
Of course I did. I remember the same. It was against the back wall, far right of the store. I remember it's where I saw Ralph Bakski's fucking Wizards, and the reason I remember that is because I saw a cartoon that had a PG tag on it. And I was like, PG on a cartoon? And keep in mind, this would have been pre-Simpsons, or at least Simpsons on like the Tracy Ullman show, maybe around that time. And I don't even know if you guys know any about that crap. That is a miracle that the Simpsons ever came to be, because that was such a throwaway show itself. Not that I didn't enjoy Tracy Ullman for like bits and pieces, but then again, I was a dumb kid. I couldn't tell you how well it aged. If you ever want to check out Wizards, it's on YouTube. You can find it for free, or you can generally like probably go to Watch Cartoons or some shit like that. It's about fairies and elves and dwarves fighting Nazi mutants. And I remember I remember my parents walking out on that. It said PG. And, it is totally not PG, but PG-13 had not been invented for any of you guys who'd ever watched The Nostalgia Critic. There was a time before PG-13 existed, and there were a lot of movies that got PG that perhaps shouldn't have. Perhaps should have been a little higher, but weren't quite strong enough to be R. And, Wizards is definitely one of those. I would not stick my 10-year-old or what have you. It would definitely take. I'd wait off for 13 on that. Family Guy has got a pretty cool start. It actually started on a Cartoon Network in a way. Restarted. It was canceled. It would constantly go into that. I think I remember Movie Bob made the remark, part of owning seasons 1 through 3, I did have somebody who was in our suite in college who would put them on constantly. Just determination, I guess. And it was just it was the meme how everyone made fun of Fox. Oh, you all kill all the good shows. I think I stuck
I'm surprised they ain't killed the Simpsons.
Well, what else do they have that's really making money?
Yeah, no shit. I mean, that show's been on the air about as long as I've been alive. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Sorry about the spelling errors. No, you're fine. I'm just going through the comments with you guys.
Right. I've tried to watched The Simpsons here a couple years ago, and I was just like, wow, this is nowhere near as good as I remember when I was a kid.
I there's a guy, for anyone in the chat, I doubt you guys know who cognitive theory is or cognitive thought. He's a blood sport skeptic kind of guy, and recently he winded up traveling to the States. Allegedly, it was for other reasons, but part of the reason for coming out here was he was going to meet up with a girl, and he found out she was cheating on him. So he fucked off and left. Well, or at least he got out of that situation. And because he's from the blood sports part of YouTube, the shit talking area, they all started calling him a cuck, which is something I'm told that he's not unfamiliar with doing to people. And instead of taking it on the chin and taking the L, he would argue. I think it was like 200 comments on Twitter in a day, and it went on to like 300 the next day or some shit like that. I actually managed to go on his stream where I was like, hey, look, man, just stop. Like, his enemies got to a point where, like, just stop, man. Just let it go. You can't let it go, so we can't let it go. And I think as far as I could tell, he finally shut up about it after, like, by Friday. And the last thing I saw is on the weekend. One of the people from his server got upset or something like that, and they're like, hey, blah, 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 I'm this close to leaking our DMs. And his response are like, do it, pussy. I don't care. And there's this rambunctious, amusing gentleman who goes by the name of Dome Pesos. Love him. Oh, such a dick. He does the Soilless Matt show. And he's like, I'd like to take those DMs. And she's like, no. And I was like, I pop into the conversation, and I go, I'll give you $20 to give him the Dome Pesos. And freaking Cog hearts my tweet. She's like, no, leave me alone. $40. I'll go $60. And she's like, runs off. And Cog's like, well, that was fun. So I go up to Cog. I'm like, $20. He's like, no. I'm like, Cog, I'm not going up to 40. You're getting lowballed. I refuse to. I'll give you 20 just because, but I'm not going 40. Damn it! In case these are shit. In case you two are hustling me. Insert Pokemon movie battle. I feel like I could talk about this too. I winded up following. There's this guy, I didn't want to say gentleman, who goes by the name of Zoom Godspeed. At the time that happened, and I don't know, he was arguing back and forth with Cog, and there's some unflattering information that I would encourage people not to, and he followed me back, and I'm like, oh, that's gonna be terrible, but then nothing happened, and that was like fucking last week. I think that happened around like Wednesday, Thursday, so I don't think anything will come of that, but I did notice it, and if anybody asks me about that, I was just being a busybody. Anybody who's involved with that shit, there's another guy that just poofed off the fucking map that I adored and respected up and down. Has anyone heard of Godwinson? Because I know he poofed and I don't know what the fuck ever happened to him. And the only sources I found were like fucking from a Destiny fucking Reddit, which, 1, Reddit U, 2, Destiny double U. I took my inspiration from the Toon Critic like fucking thing where I was reading off going, how he fucked his life away, and I had him like talking in the background was a ripoff from something where Godwinson was making fun of Sargon of Akkad. I finally found that video. Oh, it was so good. In fact, I'll play a little clip of that for you. Let me blank the screen and I'll show you why Godwinson is the shit. Let me pull up 4K. Postpone.
I know it.
Oh, nope, wrong one.
Oops.
Ah, here it is. Now, don't expect the style to be that good. This is Godwinson taking the piss out of Sargon of Akkad.
So, once upon a time, you were playing video games. You were in your mother's basement and you noticed something odd. You happened to realize that this latest video that you were plugged into had been smothered with a political agenda that had no place in your precious world of video games. Even though the world outside your basement had been for a good few years before you started, whole commotion had been happening to everyone else but you. It had finally crept into your video games. And you decided that enough was enough. You can't go on. It can't go on. No more, no. There was no way Big Red Anita the Lacy Trigglypuff was going to ruin what you held so dear. So you decided to take a stand. You were radicalized into action. Now, being a 35-year-old newt that hadn't moved so much as 60 steps in the past decade, being so utterly useless, you had very few options open to you. So there was only one avenue into this culture war that could present itself. Get yourself a YouTube channel, adopt a username that made you sound learned. There you are, Alexander the Great 69, and you're about to embark upon this crusade to stop video games being tainted by feminism.
Okay. I think you guys get the point. God, I love that video. What'd you guys think? Oh, that? The fucking... Oh, yeah, I don't know why the fucking... Let me kill the downloader. Maybe I've got too much shit open on the computer right now. That shouldn't be the case. I've got like 6 cores on this computer. Oh, there we go. We're back up. Alright. I guess 6 cores isn't enough, son of a bitch. Yeah, they did that for effect, as far as I could tell. VAA God speed stacking Ohio popped into a server. If speed stacking would like to take his ass on down to the stream, I mean, I've got nothing better to do with my time right now. I noticed Therapy Rarity just popped up finally after taking a 2 days off. I was like, oh, did you fuck off and leave? Good for... Oh, no, they're back. I miss giving you guys my therapy sessions and my love. And I'm like, no. No, please stop. Please go away. Who's that guy in the video? I don't know. I think I've seen him around in like memes. I thought it might have been someone who was Godwinson's friend, or maybe I'm just completely unaware of the meme. I've always been a step behind on dumb shit like that. From what I'd heard from him on Twitter when I got to talk to him briefly, because he seemed cool when I spoofed his video, I think he teaches on the side, so that's cool. I think he's more interested in not getting people into being dumbasses and getting roped into this whole YouTube thing, which I'll be honest with you, it's a tough road. it can end real quick. Yeah, no, Countess Rose did that. You guys should go check her out. YouTube and DA and Twitter. Well, send him a message. Tell him to pop in. I will be glad to talk to old boy. Let's check Discord really quick. Oh yeah, she's grown by leaps and bounds. I consider Countess like Dog Eye 2.0. Just the best. Well, I think I've run out of comments and things to talk about. Oh wait. Today in therapy, we're going to hit you with a bar until you're fixed. Yes. I've run out of things to talk about, plus I have to use the bathroom. So.
Yeah.
Time of death.